Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that is here for you, anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And this is the first meeting of our year, so of course we say Happy New Year. Welcome, everybody, to 2023. For those of you that are here today, glad you chose to visit us in person. We have a lot of new visitors today, so welcome. For those of you in the meeting, in addition, happy Aloha Friday. We always wish everyone a happy Aloha Friday. Those meeting me for the first time, wondering why this job seeker guy has a Hawaiian shirt on, that's the reason why. In Hawaii, the casual Friday is Aloha Friday. I got into the spirit, I don't know, 35 years ago, and it just, well, it's leading the group, it caught on. So that's what we do. So you're always welcome when you come visit if you'd like, wear something floral or colorful. And also, if you did not know, today is National Technology Day. So it's a national holiday. There's a national holiday, lots of national holidays every day, and it recognizes really how technology changes the world and celebrates the future of technology. And so those of us who are in job search should be using technology. There are a lot of tools that are out there that can help you be more efficient and effective in your job search. And also, as you interview, you should be able to demonstrate that you can use different types of technology, certainly that which is appropriate for the job. So that's what we're going to be doing, celebrating Happy Technology Day today, National Technology Day. The group PSG of Mercer County is here for you. We do have a lot of resources that can help you be more efficient and effective with your job search. For instance, we do have a LinkedIn group. And so you should be on LinkedIn if you are in job search. It is the #1 job search website, is the #1 business-to-business website, LinkedIn. So do create a profile, build up your profile. We have tools that are on there as well. We do have a group. So when you're on LinkedIn, you may have seen groups. Our group is called PSG of Mercer County. So go search for the group in the groups section on LinkedIn and find our group and then request to join. When you do request to join, we put you in pending status and we do check your attendance, whether you've been here in person or virtually. And those are the people that we allow in our group. We don't just allow anyone who makes that request. And the reason why is we want to make sure the group is really for job seekers, people who want to help other job seekers. We're trying to keep the name collectors, the list collectors out, people that are just trying to sell us and spam us. So the one way we are enforcing that as best as we can is only allow people that have visited us at least once in the group. You are all eligible, so if you're not yet a member of our group, a little later, please request to join and we will check during the week and accept you. Then get active in the group, start sharing posts or information, maybe introduce yourself. You might have an elevator pitch, you might want to copy and paste that in. So get people to know you. We have over 1,700 members in the LinkedIn group, and they're all people who have been to at least one of our meetings. If you're not sure what else to write, you might have gotten yesterday or today or in the past a really great job description for a job that's perfect for somebody else, just not right for you. We all get those. If there's one of interest, copy it out of the email, paste it in our LinkedIn group, and share it with others. Your activity will be appreciated by LinkedIn because LinkedIn does have its own kind of search engine optimization results, like LinkedIn, like Google has search engine optimization, and will begin to rank people who contribute a little higher than people that don't contribute. So activity on LinkedIn is good. So you can share job leads. Also, what we have is we have our website. Our website is called psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org. It is more than just a landing page. If you haven't visited us just yet, it is over 120 web pages of content. There's a tremendous amount of information that's there. In honor of National Technology Day, we do have a professional development tab along the top. And when you click in there, there's a link for e-learning. E-learning. We have 90 e-learning links in that webpage. So if you were thinking of taking a new class, taking a certification, doing something online, and you didn't know where to look or find any good e-learning classes, these are links to 90 different e-learning websites. We're not promoting or supporting any one of them. It's just a place where we've gathered all of them. You decide the ones that are right for you. Some are completely free. Some require a membership, and some you just pay for the class. But it's 90 all in one place. So go take a look. for some of you, you're wondering, should I go back to college and get a higher degree? A lot of times that's not necessary any longer. A certification in something new may make a lot more sense because you could do it in a few months rather than a couple of years, and it is very current. So go look at e-learning or e-learning tab to see if there's something there useful for you. So it's right about the time that I would be introducing our weekly meeting presenter. It's always the first of the year that I do the meeting, so I'm not going to introduce myself. That just seems a little self-serving because I already introduced myself, but not going to give my whole bio. But this is when we normally would introduce the presenter. And so we are going to talk about in just a moment, uncover the hidden job market. So for those of you who are remote, what I ask you to do is keep your microphones on mute just so there's no accidental background noise. But if you'd like and you have a question during the program, unmute yourself at that time and we will answer the questions at that time. And then when we get the answer done, mute yourself again. And so what I will do is share my slide deck. And also, if you want to post in chat, you're welcome to, those of you virtually, and chat among yourselves as you can. You could put a question there. Bill will be monitoring chat also for us. And if he sees a question there, he will just excuse himself and ask the question on your behalf. This is a great meeting if, we're meeting a lot of people today who are visiting us for the first time, so welcome. And this is a great topic if you're either new to job search or maybe you've been kind of stuck for a while, not sure why you've been not able to either get a good interview or hopefully land that position. So this is a program we call Uncover the Hidden Job Market. And actually, we kind of titled it a little differently of Get Unstuck, Uncover the Hidden Job Market. But the statistic here is kind of key. And I update this statistic every couple of years, and it never changes. The source changes, the year and date when I find it promoted. But up to 70% of open jobs are not posted. And what that basically means to you is if you're looking at the traditional job search, which I would say might be looking at job boards, looking online, you're looking at best only 70% of open jobs. Curtains open. Good. So when you think about job search, what is the hidden job market? And I mentioned in that statistic up to 70% of positions that are open are not seen, they're hidden. And so they're basically positions that are available without employer advertising or promoting them themselves. And it's just quite that simple. We'll talk about why that may be and come up with ways that maybe we can overcome that as well. So let's first think about where the advertised job market is, where you may be used to seeing jobs if you're where they are advertised. And certainly, for one, is job boards. And the job boards are those websites, monster.com, ZipRecruiter, all of those. They list thousands of jobs. And you may say, that's enough for me, but that's only 30% of the marketplace for you. So job boards is a place that is very traditional for companies to offer their positions. So that's one of them. Another would be company career pages. You may have a list of companies that you know you may be interested to possibly interview with or meet somebody. So you can go to that company website and you can find they have typically career pages where they post positions. And some people say, well, they're posting positions that are not always available or they just post them temporarily. Maybe, but that's still a place that's kind of traditional where they do actively post positions. So you can look there. And that tends to be, in general, very reliable, even though sometimes companies post fake positions. And they'll post fake positions because they're trying to gather resumes. The classified ads. Those of you of a certain age may remember there was something called a newspaper. It was a physical, made of paper, and there was always a section called classified. And I used to live in New York. The New York Times Sunday classified section was tremendous. I can only assume the Inquirer and other papers were very similar. And always a great place to look for jobs then, maybe 30 years ago. Newspapers still have classified sections. A lot of them are virtual. They're online now, the newspapers. So you can check to see if companies are advertising there because the companies that are advertising may be targeting a specific audience, people that do still read the newspapers. So it's another place where you can find positions. Another place, job fairs. Job fairs actually do have a lot of jobs. The downside about job fairs, if you are someone who has are in the middle or second half of your career, has an established career, typically when you go to job fairs, you see more entry-level positions than you do see the more mid-level and senior positions. And that's typical because what companies are doing are looking to staff up quickly and finding a fresh new talent that way. But do use the job fair anyway, because when you're at the job fair, you'll meet the HR people from the company. And they may not have a job for you now, but they may have a job for you in 2 months, 3 months. And then when you find that position, you can call that person that you met a few months ago at the job fair. So the job fairs are where positions are advertised. Recruiters, those are people, whether they're internal and they're employed by the company, or they're external. They're working for some third party and they were engaged by the hiring company. They have positions as well. And there are a lot of big companies, lots of small companies. Some of them are contacting you, some you're searching for, but they have positions as well. But they typically only have the positions that the company is advertising and letting them know about. Professional associations and trade associations are great places to find jobs. The reason why is there are people at those companies that you may be interested in, and those people may know of positions that are open. Also, companies that tend to be sponsors of the trade associations advertise and promote as well, and they often have the opportunity to promote positions. So they are looking to get a number of people pretty quickly from within their trade, within their industry, and they advertise there. So again, the advertised job market could be trade and professional associations. And social media sites. Lots of social media sites are being used by companies now to promote. They're promoting on Facebook, Twitter, certainly LinkedIn, lots of them. The reason why they promote jobs on those sites, and you may not think of a lot of them as traditional job board sites, is because they know their potential new hires use those sites. If it's a company that's a B2B, a business-to-business type company, they might advertise on social media sites that are industry specific. If they're consumer oriented, B2C, they may advertise on Facebook or Twitter, where maybe non-professionals typically hang out, or they hang out for not specifically professional reasons, but they're there. And so a lot of activity. Facebook has over 2 billion users, so companies will go fishing in that well-stocked pond. So that's another place where they are promoting jobs. So this is the advertised job market, where you add them all up, give or take, it's about 30% of the positions that are available are being posted among these places. So now we know the advertised job market. Let's think about the way hiring managers like to hire. Now, my career for almost half of my corporate career, I was a hiring manager. I had staff that worked for me. And so for me, when I learned about this is the way people were talking about it, I said, yeah, that's exactly the way I hire. And the challenge is a lot of hiring managers, even though they get promoted based on their professional skills, we're not taught on how to hire and interview people. We're just kind of expected to do it. And so when we have, let's say, a team, or a hiring manager has a team, maybe 5 people, just to use a number, and someone has left the company or has announced that they're going to leave. So now there's an empty seat, an empty chair next to us. One thing we don't like doing is we don't like hiring people. We like getting work done. But hiring is something that's extra, takes extra time, takes time away from our days. So we look to do other means of hiring than going out to market. And the first place that hiring managers like to go is reach out to people that they already know and trust. They'll talk to someone maybe they worked with at another company and say, call them up or send an email and say, hey, I've got this open position. We worked together before. Would you like to talk to me about the position? And the reason why, it's easy. It's easy. It's someone that, as a hiring manager, I trust, I know, I'm comfortable. I'd like to work with that person again. If they say yes, it could be a very fast process. So hiring managers typically, first, they go to the people they know and trust. So let's say they call a few people who they know and trust, and they all say, no, they're happy where they are. They're not going to move. So where might they go next? They might ask people, who do you know? Who do you trust? So now they're talking to their people, and they'll get a recommendation or a referral. And with that recommendation or referral, that's easy too. So if someone says, oh, you want to talk to that guy David because he's pretty good, it makes it easy for that hiring manager to reach out. And if that doesn't work, then they look to strangers. They go out to the open market, which is basically the job market that we're competing in mostly, and they're looking there. It's a longer process because they don't know us. They have to vet us. They have to get comfortable with us. It spends more time. They have to read all those resumes and such. So that's why hiring managers go looking for people, the strangers, last. That's why they go out to the traditional job search market a little bit last. So why then are the jobs hidden? Okay? And that's the famous iceberg. Only about 10% of an iceberg is above the water, and about 90% is below the water. And so that's why I use that picture. Well, for one reason why the positions that are open are not advertised, the hiring manager is waiting for approval. I've always found that funny when I've worked for companies and I'd have to fill a seat. And I would tell my boss, listen, yesterday somebody was sitting there. They left. Why do I need approval to refill that seat? It's already in the budget. And I've never understood why they've slowed the process down, but it's almost always been the case. We've got to go through senior management to get the approval for you to refill the position. We needed the body, we don't have the body. So the hiring manager knows about the position, but going through the formal process in the company of getting approval, sign off from the supervisors of the company. The hiring manager, as we showed in the last slide, is looking at his or her own network. Who does the hiring manager know? The hiring manager is going to reach out to people that he or she knows to find that next person. It's just an easier and faster process if that person is available. Or they're looking at the references, right? The second degree connections. That's what we call them in LinkedIn, the people that your connections know. And so they've still got that same open seat that's sitting there, but they're looking internally. The recruiting company is waiting for the okay of the manager. So you may have contacted a recruiting company may have contacted you. They actually sometimes know there's a position available. And it's something that I did with the recruiters who I used, who I trusted. There were 2 or 3 that I trusted very well, and they were the ones I contacted first. And what I would do is I would send them a job spec and say, it's not approved yet, but here's the job spec. You can hit the ground running when I call you up and say it is now approved. If you've ever gotten a call from a recruiter or you've seen an advertisement that you've answered and they will not at all tell you the name of the company, there's a good chance what they're doing is they're recruiting for that position, but they're not ready to interview yet because they didn't get permission. So they're hitting the ground running. Why do companies do that? Why did I like to do it? The reason why is if it was a week later and I called the recruiter, I said, all right, it's an open position. They have names already. They've collected names. They can turn over names to me in a few minutes and resumes in a few minutes. So that's why they do that. So recruiters do sometimes know some of the hidden job market at companies. HR is looking internally. A mid-sized company, a large company, they may have staff that they can transfer from one group to another, or they can promote. Now, the good news is a job movement, whether it's a lateral move or a promotion, does leave an open position somewhere. But now that they promoted someone or moved someone from another department, that may not quite be the end position right for you. But there will be an open position. But HR may be looking internally. And HR could be quite busy, so they may not be doing that very quickly right now, but that could just be the process that's waiting for. But the hiring manager knows, HR knows there is an open position. They can't publicly advertise it. They won't even put it on their website. They may have an internal website, but not publicly for all of us. There may be an upcoming retirement or an upcoming life event, right? If you think about how someone may retire, they typically don't retire with 2 weeks' notice. They may say, I'm going to leave in 6 months, and giving the company lots of time. That tends to be very common. It also gives the company more time to go out and buy a gold watch for that person. So now the company knows in 6 months or 3 months, whatever, there's going to be an open seat, but they're not ready to recruit now. They want to wait until it gets closer to the retirement time. Or other life event could be like a woman who's expecting a child and said, in 3 months, I'm going to take a maternity leave and know that there's going to be an open position. The company may or may not assume she will or won't come back. They are required to hold a position for her, but it doesn't have to be the same position. So they could fill that position. So they know in a few months. So other life event, life-changing event. And of course, this paternity leave for gentlemen as well, or for people who adopt. Of course, men and women may need to take time off, and you'll know about it in advance. HR has other priorities now. What do you think HR does besides hire people? Yeah, it's always the first answer. They fire people. Actually, HR really doesn't fire people. Your boss fires you. HR just does the dirty work. But HR actually does a lot more than just hire and fire. They may be going through year-end review process, and if you've ever gone through that, you've gotten a sheet that you've got to either fill out or read. Well, that's a time-consuming process that HR and management goes through. Some companies have goal setting in the middle of the year. Are you hitting your goals and your targets? How can we adjust so we can keep ourselves on target? Depending on the size of the HR department, if it's a little bit smaller, the HR department can be busy renegotiating benefits with the benefits providers. If you've worked long enough, you may have been in a company every 2 or 3 years as a new insurance company, a new retirement plan. They've got a better deal. So HR does get busy with lots of other things. So they're not focusing on filling that one position. But are all those jobs really hidden? And they may not be. So what thing you want to do is you want to get to know more people. They can be recruiters, they can be hiring managers, they can be lots of people. There are a lot of different people that are available that you can know, and any one of them may know about a job. You don't need to know lots and lots. Well, the more people you know, better, but you don't need to know everybody in a company to find out about a job. So let's kind of run through a scenario that may be the case. There's an open position at a company, and who's going to know about it? The hiring manager. The hiring manager knows that they have a position open. Yesterday, Bob, Sally used to be there. Now they're not there any longer. I've got to fill that position. So the hiring manager, if you know hiring managers at companies, you may be given insight into positions that are available. You may be able to talk to someone who knows about a position, even if it's not yet published. So a hiring manager is a great person to know. But there are other people in the company. I'm going to show you there are going to be 20 or more people in the company who can know about any one open position. The next could be the department manager. Remember, the hiring manager does often need to get permission. Yes, I had someone sitting there yesterday. I need permission to refill it, whatever their process is. Or they have a hiring process they have to go through. So the department manager has to approve that position. In a larger company, it could be division leadership may get involved. There could be a lot of leaders in the company. There now may be, if we're keeping count, 8 people who know about that one open position in the hiring manager's department. And now division leadership may have had it as a line item in their monthly meeting. Now, the higher up the chain you go, the less those people know about the details of that position. So just be aware about that. So you may know somebody who's kind of a senior manager in the company, and they'll say, yeah, we do have an opening in accounting. But if you ask them questions about it, they may not know the details. But your question to them would be, who should I speak with? And they'll put you in touch with the hiring manager or somebody. So just be aware when you speak to someone who's higher up in the company, they may not have a lot of details, but they're going to have the key clue to get you targeted to the right person. So here, so far, there may be up to 8 people in the company that know. The HR director, HR of course knows about there's a position because they typically manage that process. In a small company, it may just be 1 or 2 people in HR. In a large company, it could be a lot of people in HR, including the HR director. So if you think about a medium company or a large company, the HR director probably isn't doing the recruiting. In a small company, it could be the 1 person or the 2 people are. But in a large company, it may not be. They have HR generalists. The HR generalists, the people that work through the really work in HR, right? HR directors do nothing. HR generalists do all the work. And I'm sorry if there are any HR directors here. My apologies. I know you do other senior level work. But the generalists will know. So there's at least 1 generalist who's assigned to recruit for that position. And so you may want to get to know someone in the HR department to find out positions available. And even if it's a large company and that HR person doesn't know much about the position, they may say, oh, you want to speak to Sally or Sam in the department. They're recruiting for the position. And so they can point you in the right direction. So right now, 10 people in this company know that there's a position that's available. Let's see who else may know. Coworkers, right? Coworkers are fighting for that window seat. So they all know that there's another position. Sally used to be there. She's not here anymore. We wished her well at the party yesterday. And now they all know that there's a position available. So if you know people kind of who are the potential of your new coworker, the coworker of that position that was open, they're going to know about the position as well. I kind of said they're 1 to 5, could be more, could be less, depending on the size of the position, the size of the company. So now there could be up to 15 people in this company that know about this one opening that may be of interest to you. Right? There are more. Who else might know about it? Who? Sally, yeah, that's true. The person, I should put Sally up there too. Sally or Bob or Sam, whoever. Yeah, if you happen to know someone who just left and it's a position of interest to you, absolutely. So you can, they can give you the direction as well. When you think about any job that you had, did you work by yourself? A lot of times work was given to you, well, by your boss, but from another department or another division. And then when you were done, the result of your work moved on as well, right? There's kind of a workflow. So the dependence of that position that you are trying to fill, those people may know as well. So I've shown you 20 potential different people, and thanks to Scott, now 21 people, who in this company may know of that one open position. So what it basically means is you got to get to know more people. It doesn't mean you need to know 20 people to land. But what it shows is you don't just need to know the hiring manager. There's a whole different group of people that you can get to know in different industries, in different companies, different roles that could be helpful to you. And these are people that are going to know about positions that are not yet posted. And we'll talk more about in just a moment of how we get to find some of these people and talk to these people and get them to know us a little bit right now. So how do you get to know more people? Well, one is you're here, so you get to know others, get to meet other people. You're virtual, people who are virtual. Well, one is networking. And so networking is basically, and I thought this was a good definition, the exchange of information among individuals specifically to cultivate productive relationships. People, before you come to a program like this, say networking is to find a job. Not really. The end result could be that you find a job, but networking is to have productive relationships. I'm not job hunting, so I network if I need a plumber or an electrician. I network for different reasons. Clearly, you here, if you're job search, that's part of what you will network for as well. But really, it's to build relationships. Because when we have relationships with people, we're more apt to do referrals and to help them. We tend not to help strangers until we get to know them. So we want to get to have that productive relationship. It's a means of connecting with people and connecting with anybody. There's a gentleman who'll be presenting here in 2 weeks, Marty Latman. He tells a story. We'll see if he tells it in 2 weeks. If not, you've heard it at least. He got laid off, went to get a haircut. His stylist connected him with someone who was able to get him an interview with the company he wound up landing. His hairstylist. He went for a haircut, got a connection for someone who knew about an open job. So you connect with anybody. There's 20 plus people and anybody. Also, stay in touch with your contacts. You want to maintain a relationship. You want to build and cultivate a strong relationship. Just because you met somebody doesn't mean you know somebody. They don't know you. So you want to kind of keep the relationship strong. And there's different ways you can do that. There's kind of a little joke. There's a fine line between networking and stalking. So you don't want to be a stalker. Don't send an email 5 times a day. Hey, what's up? What's new? Tell me what's going on. Hey, you want to go out? Let's come. You come to my place. I'll go to your place. But maybe after meeting somebody, you happen to read an article a couple of weeks later, and it's very relevant to the discussion you had with someone. Send them an email. Link the article. Hey, I saw this and reminded me of our discussion last week. That's kind of a way you keep people in mind. Networking is not about who you know. You can know lots of people. I was in a men's room once in Madison Square Garden. I met the comedian Richard Lewis. I don't think he knows me. Networking is about who knows you. Unless he thinks about that guy who asked for an autograph in the men's room. That was me. Actually, was my brother. So networking, developing that relationship, you want to get people to think about you who know you. You don't have to be best buds, but just if something comes up that triggers them, maybe about that open position or any other information, they'll say, oh, that guy David, I think I can introduce you to him. He'll be helpful. You want your name to be, well, your name is David, but you want your name in that sentence as well. It's about building relationships. And I can tell you with 100% authority that it is about building relationships. And here's how. It's in bold red. And I would not put it in bold red if it wasn't true. And I think I read it on the internet. If it was on the internet, it was true, right? Everything on the internet's true. Right? Um, everything on the internet, not everything on the internet is true. There's a lot of true stuff, and there's other stuff you have to manage on your own. And I'm not making this a political discussion at all. Oh, intermission time. So if you haven't been had a lot of questions yet, any questions right now, either virtually or here in the room, about what we talked about so far? And I did put a cup of coffee and a sandwich because there is a cafe right there. You can bring stuff in if you like. It's nice the library allows that. So far, so good. Okay, good. So then we will move on. Yep. And like I said, just raise your hand or virtually just say, excuse me, and that'll be fine. And we'll address your question at the time. Yeah, a few people in the room may remember in movie theaters they used to have intermissions. In shows and plays they have intermissions, and the curtain opens again. Any fans of the Godfather movies? Godfather Part 2, they actually have, if you watch it straight through, right in the middle, an intermission page. So I guess in the theater they had to change reels or whatever. So why should you network to find a job? We talked about a moment ago that networking is a key way to meet and get introduced to people. So why use networking as a means for finding a job? This is from a University of Michigan study. I should have put the year up from a few years ago. Your odds of getting a job through a job site application is 1 in 250. That's any one of those applications where you submit an application online. Some people call them ATS, applicant tracking system. I make fun of them a little bit. I call the ATS applicant trashing system because your odds are 1 in 250. It basically comes up with the study. They said as many as 250 resumes can be put in for a position. So it really brings your odds down. If you are fans of going to Atlantic City or Las Vegas or one of the nearby casinos, I'm sure you will not sit at a table or play a machine that's going to play 1 in 250. You will lose your money very quickly. 0.04%. But what they did find, employee referrals only make up 7% of applications. Very few people are reaching out to other employees in the organization, but makes 40% of the hires. And by the way, see a few of you taking notes, perfectly fine. I will be sharing this slide deck with you later, so you can download it if you'd like. So if you miss anything, you'll be able to download it. Of course, this is being recorded. You can watch the recording as well. So this really increases your odds. If you know somebody in the company, you're more likely to get hired than if you're going to use one of the job board applications. So speak with someone who works at the company. Get to know someone at the company. That's why you network for a job. You increase your odds from 1 in 250 to really 4 out of 10, which is, I'd go to Vegas and play 4 out of 10 table all the time. On the other hand, I don't like gambling, so I just don't do it. So what if you're nervous about networking? A lot of people are. Oh, yeah, go ahead. When you write, oh, Tacoma? Oh, okay. Yes and no. We could spend an hour talking about the ATS. We will later in the year have someone talking about the ATS. I'll give you the hopefully 1 minute synopsis. Yes and no. The computer can read through fonts, typically. So if it's a script font, or if it's a Tahoma font, or if it's any other font, typically Wingdings, I don't know if I can write because that's characters, but the typical font it can read through because it's going to read the character. What's harder when you have a font that's called a serif font, there's little points at the end of each character or script, it's harder for people to read them. That's typically what happens. The ATS has different problems. Now, it depends on how old the ATS or the program is, how strong the AI is in the program that they're using. If you're using different brands that are out there, it may not look at what's in the header of your file. Right? Word has headers and footers and main body. If you put your name and contact information up there and it's not programmed to look at the header, it'll say, great resume, we don't know who this is. A lot of times we like to format our resumes very nicely. We maybe bring in tables and put nice boxes and put groupings of information. Sometimes the non-characters, what's not on the keyboard, the table's not on the keyboard, there's no table character. Sometimes that throws off the old ATSs. So you might hit a tab key to line things up a little different. So there's a lot of other things. I'd like to take the ATS discussion, if you have more questions, offline. But you can see the other thing about an ATS is if 250 applications go in, how many is the hiring manager looking at? We don't know. I can tell you they're not looking at 250. A lot of them get screened out for whatever the reasons are. Why do they get screened out? You don't know because you didn't program the ATS, so you can't make your resume meet the criteria of the ATS. And then the hiring manager says, I want 5 resumes. I want to look at 5. There's 250 in there. What if yours was the 6th one that was put in? You may not be seen. It's not always the top 5. It could be the first 5. You just don't know. So that's why you don't rely on the ATS. Don't rely on the 30% job market where you're just submitting electronically because your odds are really very slim. Yes or no? Okay. So let's talk about nerves. Networking is not about getting rid of your nerves. And you may think of me, I don't know that you do or don't, a lot of you are meeting me for the first time, that I would not get nervous in a networking situation. After all, I'm standing up in front of a group of people. I've stood in front of 100 people. That doesn't bother me. I don't like networking. I'm a little bit of an introvert. So it's not about getting rid of your nerves. It's about channeling your nerves or your anxiety into a little bit of a strength or a little bit of a power. You may have heard discussions with actors, even famous ones, who say right before the curtain goes up, I get stage fright. But as soon as the curtain goes up and they say their first line, they get focused. They use that anxiety. And we do that all the time. Maybe you don't like to get shots, but you get that flu shot. Maybe you do it on. Again, not trying to make a political discussion. And you feel good and you get through it. We always use anxiety to channel anxiety into a strength. And that's what happens. Don't worry about if you don't like networking, you're nervous about it. You'll leverage that. What you may need to do, you may need to take a few minutes to kind of center yourself. And there's lots of ways you do that. Take a deep breath. Amy Cuddy had the superhero pose, right? You take the superhero pose before you get started. Whatever it is that you need to do to get focused. My niece is deathly afraid of needles. She doesn't like getting shots. She could be right there in the chair. She's trying to center herself while the poor nurse is giving her a shot. But then she gets the shot. Then even ask yourself, why am I here? Why are these people important to me? Refocus on the purpose of the situation that you're in of meeting someone rather than just focusing on the fear of the situation. And you go, yes, this person is important because they know that hiring manager I want to talk to. Or they work at a company I want to learn more about. So figure out really why you're there, what's important. Maybe even visualize the session. A lot of therapists talk about this. So imagine it going very well. What would a good session be like? That doesn't guarantee you'll have the perfect session, but it'll really put you in a positive mindset. Think about the things you really want to accomplish. Think past the nerves. Think past the fumbling your words or whatever you're concerned about. And maybe even think about that best case scenario, because that positive energy is really what's going to help you focus. Or maybe if you're able to maybe drive to the meeting beforehand and you're in the parking lot, you may want to listen to some music. If you walk, you have your phone or your MP3 player, whatever you've got. Listen to some calming music, listen to some chants, whatever it is, something that'll give you a little bit of a boost to help you focus. So a lot of people have nervousness over different things. We do find different ways to kind of get through it. And so just, again, use that here as well. But you're an introvert. I'm an introvert. I can't network. I'm an introvert. I thought about this for a long time, and I actually came across, or I determined, at least for myself, no, the introvert is not a bad thing. It's a really good thing. And the reason why I think networking is perfect for introverts. And you have a little bit of doubt right now, wondering, no, I don't want to talk to people. I'm an introvert. Introverts don't like big crowds. Networking is perfect for introverts. You're most effective networking by meeting that one person and having that one-on-one conversation. You're less effective in a discussion when it's you and a bunch of people because everyone has to get their 2 cents in. But when it's you in a one-on-one situation, you get a lot more value either in the information you're providing to them or the information they're providing to you. So for an introvert, networking on one-on-one is perfect. So go with the mindset of, I want to meet that one person. There's a number of people in the room here. You may find one you want to make sure you speak with. As introverts, we tend to be quiet. It makes us a good listener. Think about some of the people you've met. Some people just love to talk. That's great. Absorb everything they have to say. They may be giving you a lot of good information about whatever it is that you're there to talk about. What's the company like? What's the company culture? You might find someone who's very talkative. Works out very well being a listener. Also, we don't like to talk about ourselves. We tend to be very introspective, so we can be a very good helper to others. And think about the people you are most willing and eager to help, where you don't think twice about helping. Those are people that have helped you in the past. So be a helper. Be a helper first, and people will remember that. Remember, networking is about not who you know, but who knows you, who thinks about you. And they'll think that, hey, that David helped me. I may leverage that at some point, help him. And typically as introverts, we tend to have a close, tight-knit circle of friends. And so in a networking situation, we will be effective in a small, maybe group. So you may want to meet in a small working session with the same people, maybe once a week, every 2 weeks, every month or so, and have kind of a work group, work among yourselves. We do that here a little bit in a bigger group. We have a virtual group now, plus us in person. This group used to meet in person, and we were much larger when we were only in person. But that's not always a way to get a good group of solid relationship. You might go out with 2 or 3 people afterwards for a cup of coffee and kind of talk about things. So work in a tight group of friends. You get a lot of good, effective feedback from those people as well. So don't worry if you're thinking, I'm an introvert. Networking, I figured out, at least for me, is perfect being an introvert.
Hey, David,
Yep,
this is Bill.
yep,
The other comment about the introvert is sometimes an introvert is just very um, thrown off by a large group. And I think it's important to have the mindset that you don't have to talk to everybody in the group. There are 50 people. Say, set yourself a goal. I want to meet 3 people.
Oh, good idea, yeah.
And just focus on that. Don't put the pressure on yourself to try to talk to them.
Yeah, good idea. Absolutely. So I remember when I was a kid, I went to summer camp, and I was a little homesick at the beginning, and the counselor said, you just need to make one friend. And in a couple of days, we made friends, and it was cool for the summer. So yeah, just go with the mindset of even though it's a room full of people, you don't need to meet all of them today. Yeah, so thank you. So now that you may start to be thinking there could be some value in networking to uncover the hidden job market, who should I network with? Well, you can network with anybody, certainly, but let's kind of target it a little bit. Strategic partners are a great group of people that you can network. Find a strategic partner. These are professionals that have kind of complementary businesses. They may be in the same target market, but they do something a little differently. So maybe you are an accountant in the logistics business. You want to stay in the logistics industry. You might meet a salesperson in the logistics industry, or maybe financial planning and analysis, or IT. So these may be partners, people that use the accounting department, but they won't be necessarily future direct coworkers of yours. So you could find these strategic partners. This is a great group of people to begin to network with. Another group of people you can network with, subject matter experts, people that know more than you. These are people in the area that know more than you, and they're willing to share ideas with you. So, even today, I'm giving this presentation. Scott had a suggestion. Bill had a suggestion. They were great suggestions. They'll probably be included in the next version of this presentation. So subject matter experts are great people to network with. They're not necessarily your competitors. And really, anybody who's in your current network. These are people that you're already connected with. You want to strengthen and leverage those relationships. Family members are also good. We'll talk about those in just a moment. You may say, I don't need to network with my family. I know my family. You see. So, so there are different types of networking, different types of situations. You might find in this list, 1, 2, or 3 of them might make sense for you. Some may not make sense for you. Some you may be more comfortable with. Some you won't be. A one-on-one. Hello, introverts. You might just send an email to somebody, or pick up the phone, or in the virtual world have a Zoom, or go to meeting, or Google Meet session. Meet for coffee, meet for lunch. Just because you're meeting someone at a coffee shop or over lunch doesn't mean you're paying. Go Dutch. You're just going together. Depending on how well you know the person, I'll pay this week, you pay next week. I have a few friends like that. We meet for coffee and we take turns. And then something we're going to talk more about in a moment, which is why I underlined it, the informational interview. Informational interview is not a job interview. Well, take it literally. You meet someone to get information. And these tend to be one-on-one and very effective. Groups. Anyone been to a job seeker support group? You shook your head. No, you're here. You're all, at least this may be your first one. So when I see shaking hands, but a group like this could be a great place to meet other people. You may meet someone in your industry at another company, maybe even a company, it's one of your target companies. Meetups. Okay? Meetup.com is a website. It is not the world's #1 dating website. It sounds like it is. That's not what it is. Really what it is, it's a virtual marketplace or forum of like-minded people. They form these groups, but the added benefit of Meetup is they strategically try to have in-person groups. And now that we're coming out of the pandemic, they're more and more going back to meeting in person. Professional associations, whatever your industry is, it could be the industry that you're interested in. It could be the role that you're interested in. If you're an accountant and you're in the logistics industry, you can go to an accounting professional association, or you can go to a logistics professional association. But great place to meet people. Or form your own work groups, kind of similar to what I said a little bit earlier. As a networker, as an introvert, you have a tight, close-knit group of friends. Form your own little work group. Work together. Social media, a great place to find gazillion people. I think that's the official count in Facebook right now, the gazillion. But here are some of the bigger websites that you'll find that are out there. LinkedIn is the #1 business-to-business website. Twitter, I'm not going to comment politically, but I think they're going through a transition is all I will say. So just be a little cautious on Twitter if there's a concern that you may have. Facebook is the #1 social media site on the planet, over 2 billion active users right now. Instagram, great for video. Snapchat as well, Pinterest as well, although a little bit less. YouTube, great place to watch people. So video type sites are becoming very popular. We'll put the politics of TikTok aside for the moment, another place to get to meet or know people. Blogging, people are writing all the time. You can write a blog. If you have any topic of interest within your profession, you may want to start a blog, write once a month. I've been a little lazy lately, haven't blogged for a few months, but I've got 100 posts out there. I tend to write about technology topics, but to the layperson, because my clients are not technical people. I'm an independent IT contractor. My clients are business people, and they just want to, me to explain it in layperson terms. And if you're not ready to write on a blog, but you find the blog that's of interest that you read occasionally, write a comment. Let people know that you're out there. So another way to be active on social media. Yeah. So is there a special way to research blog? What do you mean research blog? Okay. So I think the first place I would go is Google. And Google has a search engine box at the top. You put in keyword, put in those keywords. What comes up in the search results are only websites or pages on websites. And a blog is a website. We just call it a blog because of how we use it, not because it's really any different. You know where the name blog comes from?
Mm-mm.
Weblog. It used to be called weblog. So it is a website. And then human nature, we shorten everything because we're lazy. And other places, volunteer organizations. I was in corporate America for 30 years, worked for a couple of companies in IT. After my second layoff, I started my own independent company. And the first thing I did was I did a volunteer tech project, and it really got me started. So it was a great place to meet people. I helped a behavioral health organization. They were sufficiently pleased, and they referred me to a not-for-profit networking group. And I went there, and I've gotten clients from that group. Volunteer is a great place to meet people. And there's volunteering in different types of volunteering. It could be industry related or not. That's up to you. Religious organizations, if you're affiliated at all, temples, churches, synagogues, and so you can go, and they often have their own groups and ministries with people. You may meet people there. Chambers of commerce are great for if you tend to be a business or small business oriented. You want to meet other business owners or people who work for businesses. Family functions. I put that in there on purpose because I thought about, as much as I love and care about my family, I realize I don't really know a lot about them professionally. And in turn, they probably don't know a lot about me professionally. So when you see someone at that once a year family function, the wedding or family gathering, whatever, you may just not, in addition, say, I'm fine, I went on vacation, things are good. Let me tell you what's new at work. Get them thinking about you professionally. My father, he passed a few years ago. All he knew was I was in IT. He didn't really know what I did. I tried to explain it to him. It was hard for him to kind of get that. He was not in that. But I realized that there are family members that don't understand what I do. So it might be the same for you. The checkout line. Did you ever go to the supermarket when the lines were long? Maybe you're complaining to the person in front or behind you. That checkout person is so slow. Have a discussion with that person. You never know where it's going to lead. The library here has great resources. One of the strongest resources they have here for anybody, not just if you don't have to have a library card and be in Princeton. They have a reference desk. The reference librarians, they're eager to help you. If they see people at their desk, they salivate. They love helping. You got a question about anything, not just where to find a book. What database can I use to find more jobs? They have them here. They'll be happy to help you. So ask the librarians, the reference librarians. So there are lots of places that you can network. So one I said I would talk about is the informational interview. And by the way, I didn't forget your question about how to get in touch with recruiters. They're anybody. They're among the people that you could get in touch with. We could talk a little bit offline if you have a more targeted question, if you'd like. But this works for everybody. But the informational interview, have you heard of this before? Some people have, a couple haven't. Okay. This is incredibly powerful. So we'll talk about what it is and how you can get one, hopefully. It's a conversation. That's all it is. It tends to be uh, informal or semi-formal. Sometimes you meet in somebody's office. It could be a little formal, but it could be an informal circumstance. You might just meet in a conference room. You might meet in a coffee shop. It might just be a phone call. It's just having a conversation, ideally with someone who can help direct you and teach you more about the company. Okay. So you as the job seeker, you want to get information about the industry, about corporate culture. You want to learn more about a prospective workplace or the industry if you're going to be changing roles or changing industries. You're there to get advice on your career. And you don't have to ask, can you give me advice about my career? You could just ask targeted questions because there's specific information you want to get. And so you'll ask those specific questions. So that's what's in it for you. What's in it for the other person is they may be an employed professional that you're talking with, and what they're interested in is they want to see, is this person I'm talking with someone that I could work with. Because there may be a job in 2 months or 4 months or 6 months. There's not one yet. It's not even a hidden job. But there may be one in the future, and they will think about you because you had that conversation. You may even be keeping the relationship going, right? Sending a link to that article of interest. So it's not about the job, but the underlying is about getting to know someone that could help you with your career. So it is kind of about employment. So they're interested in learning and meeting more people. Remember, the hiring manager doesn't want to hire strangers. They want to hire someone they know. Here's how you become somebody that they know. So the context of the informational interview is not about a job. It's not about hiring. Don't ask for a specific job. As a matter of fact, it's typically a turnoff. Because if there's no job that this person has, it'll be a turnoff hearing that that's what you're asking about. But if you're asking about learning about something to get some information to help them possibly, that's what makes it powerful. So here's what you can do. This is what I find works for me. So like I said before, I look to ask for advice, a little bit of guidance. How can you assist me? But rather than asking, how can you assist me, I just ask targeted questions. I tend to keep it fairly short. And the last thing I want to know is there anybody else you can recommend that I speak with? Again, one-on-one. So if the introvert in me says, I just want to talk to one person. I don't want to talk to a room full of people. So I'm talking with someone now, and then learn a little bit, and then they may say, oh, there's this fellow Bill you'll want to speak with. And maybe this person I'm talking with will even facilitate the introduction. Don't ask for the job. How to initiate? I can ask a mutual contact. Can you introduce me? Think about it. If you just send an email to someone who you've never met, hi, my name is David, I want to meet you. The likelihood of that person receiving the message is they're not going to answer the message. Because think about the way we use email. Think about the way you use email. We're concerned about spam. We're concerned about viruses. If you get an email from someone you don't know, you're already a little suspect. And then you look at the subject. And if the subject doesn't make sense and you don't know the person, you're very suspect. You may not open that message. You may put it in the spam folder right away or just delete it. What you can do, what I do, right in the subject, I might write, Bill suggested, Bill's in the back, Bill suggested I speak with you or that we have a conversation. So even though I don't know this person who's writing, I know Bill, I'll trust this message. At least open it and read it. I won't press on the links in the message because that's dangerous, of course. So now I'm getting someone to be interested in opening my message. And what I'll do is I'll reference that recent contact. Bill is a mutual friend. Bill is a vendor of mine. He's a friend of yours, whatever the relationship is. Having a conversation with him, he suggested I talk to you about such and such. Do you have time for a short discussion? And that's all I ask for. And I get a very high hit rate, 60, 70%. You never get 100%, but a pretty high hit rate, success rate. Have ready questions, targeted questions. Don't have open-ended questions. So, tell me about your industry. What's good about your industry? You want to find out something specific, and you only have a few minutes of information with that person. If you ask an open-ended question, you may use those few minutes for not getting the answer that you want. So you want to get the information that will help your job search. So I find this to be very effective, very easy, and it's a one-on-one exercise. Also, develop and grow your online presence. Before we shift to online, any questions about what we talked about so far, the networking or the informational interview? Anybody online? Okay, I'm thorough today. Yeah, Dave. Oh, yeah, if you don't mind. Like a rock star, right up there. There it is, green button, yeah.
The one thing that I think we want to say is that if you question whether you should be networking with somebody, do it. Because you don't know what you're going to find. And this could be, for example, running home from working Yellowstone in the shore. It's November. And I went to the gazebo. It's compliment. It's down in the gazebo. And we start chatting. And I, this is 4 years ago, in the third, and we just started chit-chatting. It turns out he worked for a company that in New York, and he could work part-time in New Jersey and part-time in California. So we struck up a conversation, and I was going, connected in my LinkedIn, and then stayed in touch with him over the years on LinkedIn, and even staying by his summer house and the ride out here, and sometimes chit-chatting. So, and he doesn't have to directly, but he has to navigate in terms of, company. So it's funny, you don't know who you're going to run into, you have to ask, you
Mhm.
have to take that risk.
Yeah,
Maybe see as you go anywhere, but it's investment in you.
absolutely. And also be aware it may not happen today. You know, you meet that person, you have the conversation, and you're even hopeful. Gee, I can't understand why we're not connecting professionally. It may be a few months from now that they thought of you. I started playing pickleball. I don't know if any of you play pickleball. A gentleman, and I go to this thing called Open Play. Meet different people each week when I play. And one gentleman is a podiatrist, foot doctor. So when we were done, I happened to go to his website. I'm an IT guy, and I found a couple of mistakes on the website. So I sent him a text, not text, an email, because it was posted on the website. And he was very appreciative. Now, he does happen to have a web person who took care of it, but the potential could have been was I could be helpful to him. Okay? At the very least, he may think of me if someone else he knows may need some web work. So that's the kind of thing. Remember, I helped him. He may think of me as a helper. Yeah. And nice guy to play pickleball with, at the very least. Anything else? So we're wrapping up soon. So online presence, being online, having yourself out there online. So I have this long sentence. I tend not to read, but long ones. This one I thought was important. It's no longer the case that you're the primary point of information between you and the people you need to talk with, the employers and the recruiters. The responsibility of that role is shifting to your website. In other words, the introduction between you and other people is your website, your social media, your online presence. So your initiation into meeting other people may not just be in person. It may be through your online presence, how people are finding you. And there are a lot of us that are very concerned about being online because you don't want people to get your private and personal information. And if you're anyone concerned about that, being online and giving up private and personal information, you're handling it. So do you post your private and personal information online? No. So you're not the problem. Be online. It's not you who's posting your private and personal information. You're posting the stuff that's relevant to your mission. Learn about me professionally, personally, whatever it is. There are hackers that are getting our private and personal information, unfortunately. It helps people learn more about you. Even if they were introduced to you previously or you were introduced to them, they now can find out more about you. So after I met this podiatrist, I found him online. It's also reinforcement. Hey, look at all this stuff I'm reading about David. It's just what we talked about. And other people are talking about it too. So it's a bit of reinforcement. Or, what he talked about is just what he posted on his LinkedIn profile. This consistency, it's reinforcement. Okay. So ways to be online that are easy. I'm a big fan for job seekers. Create your own website or ask somebody to create it for you, your family, your friend, whatever. But when you think about it, I said it before, what happens after you put in a Google search? You get a list of websites, right? You can say whatever you want. No, it's a web page. Yeah, the web page on a website. So you want to be there. You want to be found. Be on LinkedIn, especially as a job seeker. You want to be on LinkedIn. It's the number one website for job search and for business relationships. And any of the other social media sites are fine to be on, develop a presence. Whatever one you're comfortable with, what you're good at, post, be a little active, begin to generate some information. Because as people start to Google you, it'll find you on these other places. And think about it. When you've done Google searches, you might have seen in the search results a Facebook page, a Twitter handle, any of those things. So those things all come up. It's all reinforcement. So as we wrap up, Hidden jobs are filled without the employer posting them. And what we learned was from that MSNBC study, up to 70% of open jobs are not even posted. So if you're only looking in the posted job market, you are only looking at up to 30% of the available jobs that are out there. Hiring managers prefer to hire people they know. They don't like to hire strangers. And I have a firsthand testimonial because that's the way I was. And most jobs are not well hidden if you begin to meet and network with enough people. And it could be anybody. I even showed you there could be any one of 20, or now 21, people in a company that you may get to know. Get those informational interviews. Learn about opportunities, about organizations, about industries from people who know about them. And start to create your online presence. All very, very important. So, any other questions? And as we wrap up, if you want to find this presentation later, it's not there now, this is the PSG of Mercer County website. And if you remember, I said there's the professional development tab with e-learning, that's in the upper right. But where that red arrow is meeting presentation documents. That's where you'll find this presentation. This is a meeting. Those are the documents. That's why we call that link meeting presentation documents. Now, when you go to the website, you will not see a red arrow. Okay, just letting you know. Someone once said, I can't find the arrow. Okay. So, but when you click there, the page will change, and there'll be a whole list of documents. At the bottom of that page, you'll see opportunities to find the documents from prior years all the way back to 2013. So we've been posting for almost 10 years now. Okay? And just our contact information. But any other questions before we wrap up? And as we do wrap up, we will leave the virtual session online. So those of you who are still connected virtually can network among yourselves. And we will hang out here for anyone who wants to network among ourselves here. The in-person people will not be able to network with the virtual people. Anything else come to mind? Thoughts, questions? Clarify some confusion? Yeah. So do I conduct any meetups as part of like this group or other groups? So yes, I conduct a couple of business meetup groups. I manage a Chamber of Commerce meetup group. What's your question about meetup groups? Or are you just curious about my activity? So the best way, if you haven't been active on Meetup for someone who wants to be a user like us is completely free. There's no, you don't put a credit card on the account. There's no quarterly billing. It's completely free. The people that pay for Meetup are the ones that form the group, not the members of the group. So don't worry about how much does it cost. If you're going to create a group, they charge you. And then you create a profile and put keywords in your profile that are related to your interests. So what is your professional background? IT. So you might put some IT type thing. You know, I have a long career in IT. Put your elevator pitch, and maybe what it is. Are you a developer? Are you a product manager? Are you information technology support? Whatever it is. Because the reason why is Meetup runs night and day. They have their own bots that run, and they'll find people that match groups and send you emails. And so they may say, there's the Garden State chapter of the technology group meetup, and they'll tell you when it is. Connect with the group, and then move forward or not with them. So they'll do the work for you. Otherwise, you could go in Meetup and use the search bar and search for groups. Um, there's one called the Breakfast Club of New Jersey, which I'll talk about also in a moment. They meet on the second Saturday morning of the month. They do not serve breakfast, but they are a job seeker support group like this. They used to meet in person, and maybe once a year they serve breakfast. But they call themselves Breakfast Club because they meet at 8 o'clock in the morning. And there are a lot of groups like us that are virtual. We're not virtual that way. We're not on video. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Concerns? Anything in chat? No? Okay. All right, so here's our contact information. As I said, you saw the website. Yep. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Good. So her question was sometimes informational interviews can dry up. Not a lot of information is exchanging. How do you get them to be more engaging? And so I think the easiest way is you show up with the questions that you want answered. And so you drive the conversation. And so even though the person may be a little bit shy or not engaging with a new person very easily, at the very least, you can keep it very professional. And you can ask about, oh, I read on your website that there's a new product that's coming out. What's new about it as compared to your competitors? And you just keep the conversation going. Also, be respectful of time. Your informational interview is probably not going to be at 30 or 60 minutes. It might be 10 or 15, especially if it's a phone call. So be aware you may only have a few minutes. And if they tell you, oh, I've got more time, take the time. You might have a whole list of questions. Ask as many as you can get in. Yeah. But yeah, you control the pace. Yeah, yeah, good question. Yeah, David. So for those of you virtually, David suggested also learn a little bit about the person's background, look them up. You can find that on LinkedIn. And at the very least, get them talking about themselves because we're all humans. We like talking about ourselves. At the very least, we know about ourselves so we can talk about ourselves. Yeah, good idea. Oh, yeah, if you get someone to talk about themselves and they're chatty, but be careful because you may not get your questions in. So only if it's dry, that would be a good way to keep the conversation restarted. Good. All right. So let me let you know what's coming up over the next couple of weeks as we wrap up here. Next week, we will be right back here. We're here just about every Friday, usually except the holiday weekend. Bill Emerald will be here. Bill will be talking about career clarity and purpose. And so he will be our presenter here next week. Bill's been here before. He's a counselor and supporter. I believe he's in the Houston area, so we will be watching him virtually. I know he's presenting virtually. One kind of silver lining, and I guess it's good to look at silver linings out of the cloud of pandemic, was we got introduced to a lot of people that are not local, and we present them virtually as well. So we get to do that. So Bill will be here. I'm so happy about that. The following week, January 20th, Marty Latman will be here. Marty Latman is someone that's called the best networker that they know. And Marty is, if you need to be connected to someone, at the very least, get connected with Marty because he can connect you with almost anybody else. I'm pretty good. He's really good. And he'll be talking about getting interviews through successful networking. So kind of, I guess, a topic that picks up from this. So that kind of works out very well. He's really fun, good to hear, and he's got a lot of really good information. I also mentioned the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. They do meet on the second Saturday of every month at 8 o'clock in the morning. They are still meeting only virtual. You can check their website, thebreakfastclubnj.com. Thebreakfastclubnj.com. And George Pace will be talking about a job skills odyssey, disruption proofing your career in a post-COVID world. So he's going to be talking about disruption in the marketplace, COVID as the example, and how you could protect your career when there's disruption. And of course, there's our sister or cousin organizations, PSG of Central New Jersey meets each Monday virtually at 10:30, psgcnj.biz, psgcnj.biz, and PSG of Morris County, which I was a participant last Wednesday. They meet each Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. They get online as early as 8:30 for open discussion, psgmc.org, psgmc.org. So that is our program for today. We're going to end the meeting in just right now in a moment, and then we'll just hang around here. And until we get to see you again, hopefully very soon, I'll simply say bye, everybody.